What up, everyone? It's the DCEU podcast, man. And in this podcast, I will be doing a review of the Zack Snyder's Justice League. Even with the trailers, I can tell you that right away it was 100% better than the 2017 version we got, the Justice League. Everything that was in the Justice League, the Snyder Cut did 100 times better. For instance, character designs were 100 times better. There's no CGI mouth to cover a mustache. Steppenwolf actually looks like a ferocious monster instead of some, I don't know, like some kind of Greek armor-wearing reject. And it's not just in terms of the design of the armor or the costumes, but even though we can tell with Steppenwolf is CGI, it's like that kind of CGI that looks so perfect that at the same time he can look very real. Even the look for Martian Manhunter was amazing. Even the story itself was 100 times better. It had better dialogue, it was well paced, it didn't feel rushed in the slightest. It actually made sure to give them time to have the origins of both the Flash and Cyborg, and a little bit of Aquaman's. We even got to see Batman's guilt in what happened in Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice. A whole lot better than it was portrayed in Justice League. Speaking of dialogue, the dialogue was 100 times better. It was more fitting for each of these characters. It wasn't like in Justice League, where they're trying to make each character be funnier, which was very disappointing for guys like, say, Aquaman or Batman. I mean, Aquaman can be funny, but in a movie like this, he should be a little bit more serious. Especially for Batman, because he's the most serious character of all time. Even if they made him funny in the Lego Batman movie, Batman the Brave and the Bold, 60s Batman, but still, the dialogue was completely out of place compared to the previous movies, because Joss Whedon was pretty much trying to make another Avengers with the Justice League. But they're not the Avengers, they're the Justice League. They need to be darker to fit the tone of the previous movies, which Zack Snyder realized and fixed. The dialogue was completely out of place with these characters. It didn't even match the plot of the movie. Justice League is supposed to be this super serious, super dark team up, but that movie was just something that should not be spoken of, with that dialogue as bad as that. Another great aspect of the movie was the characters themselves. Like I was stating earlier, we got to see more character development with guys like Cyborg and the Flash. Now, the Snyder Cut, its version, well-paced Cyborg's, his origin about how he became Cyborg, to slowly accepting his new version of himself, from being just a normal human to a cyborg person. Now, in the Justice League, it just felt immediate. He starts out feeling bad for himself, but then it's okay, I'll accept it. But in the Snyder Cut, we see him adjusting to his new being. And also we can see the emotions that runs through his head as he becomes more and more adapted to his new body, which also we can feel as we watch the movie. We can feel his depression, the stress, everything that he feels as he's trying to become one with himself, and realize that what he is now is not a monster or some machine or anything like that, but instead he's just a new and improved version of himself, someone that can actually contribute to the world 100 times better than he could have back when he was still Victor Stone. The same goes for the Flash, because the scene that introduces him, not only did we get a glimpse of his power, but we also get to see how he adjusts to wanting to get the job he wants, because how his father was convicted of a crime he didn't commit, and how he wants to do everything in his power to prove his innocence. compared to Justice League, we don't see this. Instead, we just have him just wanting to get a job in the police department of Central City, which, well, true to the comics, like, it lacks something. We lack, like, the motive he wants to help prove his father was innocent of killing his mother. It lacks, like, the emotion behind that. It lacks everything that a good movie needs for their characters' developments. It lacks everything a good movie needs for good character development for everyone, especially in the part where he entered the Speed Force to undo what Steppenwolf has done. Like, we can see the emotional struggle he also had about having to be himself, not having to take the road that someone else wants him to take. See, like, he made the decision to want to help people with his powers. Even without his powers, we see him wanting to help others. While still the comic relief, we also had, like, serious moments with him where he was all about, like, trying to support people and wanting to, like, be there for others. As for Aquaman's character development, well, we still see him as sort of a brooding badass like Batman, but it expands more on, like, some of the emotional struggles he faces with the idea of his mother has abandoned him, which we later saw in Aquaman, which expanded it even further. But this was, like, helps sets up that movie, like, all the emotional roller coasters that the movie has for Aquaman and his character development, which again, the Justice League did terribly. It just had him being all, okay, my mom abandoned me, I don't want to help, to, like, and Mira giving him one little pep talk, and it's like, okay, I'll help. No, we actually got to see, like, some motivation for wanting to help. And to be honest, he was a little bit more useful. Not just because the fight sequences for Steppenwolf both times were expanded, but we actually got to see, like, him contribute to the team. In the Justice League, it's pretty much like Killer Croc in the theatrical version of the Suicide Squad, in which he didn't do, well, hardly anything, besides just press a button or two. Although for Aquaman, it's more like he didn't do anything at all, just show up and fight a few parademons and Steppenwolf. But thanks to the Snyder Cut, we do see him do more, like, not just kill Steppenwolf, but we also got to, like, see him, like, contribute more, like, helping out during the tunnel battle, to actually being the one to kill Steppenwolf, which later would make sense in Aquaman when Meryl said that you killed Steppenwolf, or actually she said you stopped Steppenwolf, but, you know, pretty much the same thing. And then Superman. Now, Justice League was a big failure for Superman. Besides the CGI mouth, we also have, like, just a Superman that just came out of nowhere, basically, during the final battle. Like, we got to see in the Snyder Cut, like, him slowly, like, regaining his memories, readjusting, even, like, accepting his role as Superman, which he has done in Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman. But we see in the movie where how his past actions and his father's words greatly influenced him to go back in action after being resurrected. We got none of this in Justice League. Like I said earlier, he just, like, as soon as he got brought back to life, beat up the Justice League, reunited with Lois Lane, it was like, okay, right, I'll go back. And then beat Steppenwolf single-handed. And one of the biggest character changes would have to go to Steppenwolf, who before was just like, okay, I'm a villain, I'm evil, I'm gonna do this and that for Darkseid. No, this time we actually had motivation. It cut out all the mother this, mother that crap. Now we actually have a villain who is trying to please even higher power and having great motives. We even, like, see him wanting to please Darkseid because of a past failure from Darkseid's point of view, not because of his own failure. we got to see, like, him wanting to redeem Darkseid's honor after losing his battle all those years ago when he first invaded Earth. And speaking of Darkseid, it did an amazing job with him as well. It showed a great dynamic between Steppenwolf and Darkseid himself, but it made sure not to show too much of Darkseid where it feels like he's the overall main villain, which in truth he sort of is, but like still focusing on Steppenwolf enough where it's saying, okay, he's the main bad guy. The other guy is a bad guy for another time. The design for Darkseid was amazing also. He looked truly terrifying, more terrifying than Thanos. Even for the small amount of time we've had of Darkseid, we got to see like how he would truly be a major menace in one of the Snyderverse sequels. Amazing job with Ray Porter, by the way, who portrayed Darkseid. He really gave a spectacular performance, which you can feel like Darkseid is a character who's evil incarnate. He's not someone who's trying to be evil, or like someone who was, well, let's say like wanting to repress someone by being evil. He is just downright evil, since in the comics, Darkseid is pretty much like a representation of Satan himself, since he's the ruler of Apocalypse, and Apocalypse is like a planet comic book version of Hell. But a major thing I want to talk about is how this perfectly set up the Justice League sequels. Like, it showed sequences and scenes in which foreshadowed major events, like Superman's turn to the dark side. It showed like Darkseid ruling the Earth, all the heroes' deaths. Well, not all of them, but like the downfall of the majority. We even got to see like more of the nightmare sequence to explain like that moment from Dawn of Justice when Flash warned Batman about how Lois is the key. We got to see a little bit of what he meant when Superman was like holding some kind of burnt corpse. It's obvious that was probably Lois, and Darkseid comforting him and like helping him cope. I guess in a way they had like a Darth Sidious and Anakin Skywalker her moment in Revenge of the Sith when Anakin feeling horrible about how he helped kill Mace Windu, and Palpatine like comforting him, making him believe that what he did was fine, that he should join the dark side, and which he does. And the end of the final battle, in which Darkseid he like sees Steppenwolf be beheaded by Wonder Woman and stabbed by Aquaman. Like that was a major foreshadowing of how he was gonna invade Earth himself, especially when he said to raid the Armada. They'll do it the old-fashioned way. And it's reasons like this, in my previous podcast, I say, restore the Snyderverse, everyone. Especially you, Warner Brothers. Not to mention that all the action sequences are 100 times more improved than they were in the Justice League. For instance, the fight with the Justice League against Superman, of course CGI is better. Well, pretty much the same. We didn't have, like, Superman using Batman's words against him, which, well, it was a good scene because it had a sense of irony towards Batman. We got to see, I guess you can say a little bit more expanded into, like, how powerful Superman demonstrates himself to be against the Justice League, whose powers can somewhat match to his, but is on a completely different level, and how he's an important factor for the team to win against Steppenwolf, and just to overall be a team. And there's also during the final battle in which Batman was fighting the parademons alone. Of course, there's no cringy puns or jokes. And we got to see like spectacular slow motion, great fight sequences from Batman, Aquaman, all of them. I mean, some of the shots were pretty much the same from the first movie, just improved upon, which I still like. Although criticisms that I do have towards the movie was that I didn't really like how they kept the Superman being brought back to life like they did in Justice League, because the ending in which you see like some of the dirt floating when they're burying Superman, obviously it was supposed to be the Kryptonian like healing cycle from the Death of Superman comic, but that sequence right there make it look like Superman was completely dead. I mean, it's possible that it could have been in a coma and they didn't realize it, but still, I would have liked it if it had been a little bit more or comic book accurate. But I'm just that kind of guy who likes things to be comic book accurate. But at the same time, this sort of creates like a little bit of a plot hole. Like maybe the ending in Batman vs Superman wasn't necessary in the first place. And another is with Superman's fight with Steppenwolf. While at the end he did lose against him because of the mother boxes and Flash having to restore everything with the Flashpoint using the Speed Force, I still don't like is how Superman beats Steppenwolf so easily. I mean, sure, it displays like how powerful he truly is, but still, I believe that even in the Justice League, the fight between Steppenwolf and Superman should have been a little bit more, let's see here, I guess you could say epic, because while the one-sided match, like I stated earlier, shows how powerful Superman is, sort of a letdown in terms of a fight, because if it was, say, like Darkseid, it would have been like a big struggle, and in the end, that's what a fight should be like, especially when it's a final battle. Like have the hero like struggle against the villain rather than like either side overpowering the other. I mean, in an earlier fight sequence that would be understandable, but for the final one, not so much. But that's pretty much my only criticism. Everything else in the movie was terrific, great, and I applaud Zack Snyder because this was the Justice League movie we fans deserved. Well, that's all for this podcast. And before I go, let me just say the first trailer to The Suicide Squad was amazing. I can tell this is going to be an improvement over the theatrical one we got a few years back. But maybe one day if the Iron Cut can come out to like the Snyder Cut, I'll be praising it as well as I am the Snyder Cut. And whether or not it'll be like as good or better than the Suicide Squad or vice versa, we would have to wait and see if Warner Brothers ever decide to give us the Iron Cut. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you, goodbye.